Hello, my name is Frank Christensen and I'm the coordinator of officials for IFAF in Europe. This is the second of 2 training tapes dealing with illegal blocks in the back. Today we're looking at scrimmage plays. So we'll have a look at a few situations where there is or isn't a block in the back, and we'll talk about the philosophy and how to cover this. But before we get that far, let's have a look at what the rulebook and the MOFO have to say on this topic.
In the rulebook, we go to Rule 234, block in the back. And Article 4A says, a block in the back is contact against an opponent occurring when the force of the initial contact is from behind and above the waist. When in question, the contact is at or below the waist. B. The position of the blocker's head or feet does not necessarily indicate the point of initial contact. In Rule 936, also dealing with block in the back, it says, a block in the back other than against the ball carrier is illegal. And then there are a couple of, there's an exception. 1. Offensive players who are on the line of scrimmage at the snap within the free blocking zone may legally block in the back in the free blocking zone subject to the following restrictions. And then there are 2 restrictions to the exception. A. A player on the line of scrimmage within the free blocking zone may not leave the zone, return, and block in the back. And B. The free blocking zone disintegrates when the ball leaves the zone. Additional exceptions. 2. When the player turns his back to a potential blocker who has committed himself in intent and direction of movement. 3. When a player attempts to reach a ball carrier or simulated ball carrier, or legally attempts to recover or catch a fumble, a backward pass, a kick, or a touched forward pass, he may push an opponent in the back above the waist. 4. When the opponent turns his back to the blocker under Rule 933A1B. 5. When an eligible player behind the neutral zone pushes an opponent in the back above the waist to get to a forward pass. In the MOFO, we go to Section 3.3, contact fouls. Number 5 deals with illegal block in the back. A. Before calling this, apply the same conditions as you would apply for holding, but also apply the conditions for calling clipping, particularly the need to see the entire act. B. If one hand is on the number and the other hand is on the side and the initial force is on the number, it is a block in the back. C. A block that starts in the side and ends up in the back is not a foul as long as there is continuous contact. D. Touching an opponent in the back is not a foul unless it results in him being knocked down or pushed off balance sufficiently so that he stumbles or missteps and misses making a tackle or block. Remember, the foul is for illegal block in the back, not an illegal touch in the back. E. Charging into a player's back away from the play may be called as unnecessary roughness. This may be called regardless of the timing of the block relative to the end of the play. And finally, F. Be particularly alert when you see an offensive player chasing a defensive player and vice versa when the defensive player is not attempting to reach the ball. This is sometimes referred to as the Oreo cookie. And that was the theory. Now let's have a look at some game film. First, we're going to look at some plays where block in the back is warranted. And the first play, we're looking at the linebacker here closest to the camera, B58. And he's going to block in the back here after the interception. So not the most elegant of blocks, but even though it may look like initially he's almost at the side of the Swedish player here, the brunt of the force certainly is in the back, as seen by the way the blue jersey falls to the ground. And And again, with blocks in the back these days, always coming, or almost always coming from the blind side, we also have to have a look at, is this a blindside block? And I don't think it is. It's not forcible enough to be a block in the a blindside block, but a good thing that it was called, because this certainly is a block in the back. In this next clip, we're looking at the receiver closest to the camera, and she's going to do a legal block, and then she's going to separate and then do a block in the back. So right there, that is legal. Now there's separation, and here we go with the block in the back. Now if she manages to keep the contact and start from the front and then move around to the back with continuous contact, that would be legal. Here, because there is separation from there to there, this is a new act, a new block, and therefore an illegal low block that should have been called on this touchdown play. Here we're looking at the tackle, so it's not the wingback, not the tackle on this side of the ball, and not the wingback and not the tight end, but the third man in, who is the tackle. And the run is going to come to this side, and somewhat similar to the previous play, where this is a side block. He's in the side right now. Separation, and here comes the block in the back. Now, you could argue that the runner is in front of him at this point. However, I think the runner is close enough that this has an impact on the orange jersey. It has an impact that prevents him from cutting up and getting a chance to tackle the runner. So we're starting at the side, which is okay. We've got separation here, and then here comes the block in the back. Well called by the center judge. So right now the center judge should be focusing in this area, and the referee should be cleaning up behind. I would advise the wing to be looking in front of the runner at those blocks, just like the deep wing would. So this is exactly where we want the center judge to be looking, and a good call by him. In this next clip, we're looking at the tackle at the far side of the field, but he's coming over here, and here you go. And you probably could have seen this coming from a few yards away, and I do think that this is the defender is close enough to the runner, to the quarterback, that this is point of attack, and this is something that we need to call. Luckily, it was called by the wing official. Now, as for the referee and umpire, nothing else is really going on. So in this particular play, I would also ask the center judge and even also the referee to pick this up, because this is out in the open. This is a big push, and this is something that we need to call. And thank you, line judge, for catching this. In this one, we're looking at the tight end closest to the camera, and he's going to come out here and block like that. So initially, this is or actually all the way through, this is the back judge key, and you may argue that the brunt of the contact starts on the side. I would say the forcible part, or the actual push, is from the back. Also, the way the defender lands on his face, that is an indication that the force of the push was from the back, and really this needs to be seen by the back judge. There's a good chance that the wing could also see this, because nothing is happening with the runner anymore. The pass is complete now, so right now you don't really have to look at the runner. So both the wing and the back judge could have a look at this, and this is really something that we need to pick up and need to call. And now let's have a look at some plays where there's no block in the back. Now let's move on to some plays where either illegal block in the back was called erroneously or it wasn't called at all, which is a good thing. So the first example here, we're looking at the field judge key, so the receiver closest to the camera. And he's going to go in and then right there. And then the back judge is going to call this as a block in the back. And I think this is incorrect because to me it looks like contact starts here on the side. So compare that to a couple of plays ago where there was a contact in the side, then separation, and then a new block in the back. Here, to me, it certainly looks like the contact starts in the side and then he just rides him in the back, which is legal, which is not a foul. You can block in the back if you start from the front or from the side, which is what I think happens here. And then the other part is this is called by the back judge. So I am suspecting that the back judge doesn't see this. He is going with his own key initially, and then the quarterback rolls out, and then he comes back and he sees this part and he reacts to that. Now, two things. If you're anybody, you go from your key to another key and you see the last part of it, be very, very careful to call this because you didn't see how it started. So if you call something on somebody else's key, talk to them after the play, or just trust them to cover this on their own. Also, if you're the field judge and you see the side block, and now it looks like a block in the back, but it's not, and here comes a flag, you should go in there and make sure that nobody called a block in the back on your guy, especially these days where we have radios. And you hear somebody go on the radio and say, I have a block in the back. You need to come in there and make sure it wasn't on your guy so that you can potentially talk him out of it, because this was an incorrect call and we shouldn't have block in the back here. In this example, we're looking at linebacker B1, and he's going to make the tackle, which makes it very difficult to call illegal blocking or illegal block in the back against him. So A60 or 76 may have a little push in the back there, but it's not something that really changes where A1 or B1 wants to go, and B1 still wins by making this tackle. So we could certainly have a talk to A76, but as far as a block in the back, I think this is a good no call. Here's a similar situation with the receiver nearest to the camera. He's going to move in, and then he's technically going to block in the back. Right there, that is a block in the back. But do we need to call this? I mean, it's part of a double team, and the defender makes the tackle for a loss anyway. So I'm pretty sure that we can get away with a talk to here. And if we start calling these very technical ones, then we have a whole lot of other stuff that we also need to cover. So again, this is a good no call. In this example, we're looking at the receiver closest to the camera, and he's going to come in, and one of the telltale signs that the block was not in the back but in the side is this, the way the defender lands on his back. Now, you might argue that this is a blindside block, but in terms of coming from the side or from the back, when the defender lands on his back like that, that means 99.9% of the time the block was either from the front or from the side. It's difficult to argue that the block was in the back when he lands on his back, when he opens up like we say here. So this is certainly not a block in the back. In this last play, we're going to have a look at a defensive block. So typically blocks in the back are committed by the offense, but here we have a defensive player right there pushing in the back. And I think actually this is a good no call. What we see, if we can freeze it right there, is where the push happens. Now if you only see those two players isolated, that certainly is a massive push in the back. But if you look at where the ball is and the runner, the defensive player is really just trying to get to the runner. So I think this is close enough to the point of attack and the runner that he's pushing the guy away to get towards the runner. Now he doesn't make it because he's not fast enough, but I think this is close enough that he's in the vicinity where he can push an opponent just like he could go low, do a block below the waist if he's trying to get to the ball or the runner. This is the same principle, that he's trying to get to the runner, so this block in the back is legal. And that was the training tape. I hope you found something you can use on the field.